Hi there, and welcome to Draw With Me. I'm Danny Gregory from Sketchbook School, and it is Thursday. And as we do every Thursday at around this time, at exactly this time, we get together and we do a drawing or two or a whole bunch. And this is not a drawing lesson or a drawing tutorial it's kind of a drawing demonstration, but it's not necessarily a drawing class. It's just a bunch of people getting together to do drawings and have some fun doing it. So the idea is to play. The idea is to explore. The idea is just knock out a bunch of drawings and see how it goes. So that's what we're going to do today. And it's usually fun. As you can see, last week we drew knights, and there was multiple round tables full of them that showed up on our doorstep, and it was really nice to see them doing a little parade here at the beginning of the episode, as we do each week. So hopefully you're going to make something today that you're going to want to share with us too, and we will put it into next week's program. So, so hopefully there are some new folks who are new to this, and I'm not just preaching to the choir. So yes, Carla Eccleston, lurking, scared, don't be. This is fun. We are all pleasant and not too mean. Some of us are mean. I try not to be. So yes, we are ready to get going. I have a bunch of things to talk about. First of all, I want to talk about a new thing that we're about to do, which is going to happen in a couple of weeks. So I just wanted to get to that and share it with you. Here we go.
Hi there, my name is Lindsay Wyrick, and I would love to paint with you in my new Sketchbook School class. If you love color, if you love desserts, you're going to love this class. I'm going to show you how you can layer up materials to save time, save hand fatigue, and get the look that you want with water media and colored pencils. First, we're going to start off with a quick sketch using a regular old pencil. Then we're going to add a really loose and juicy wash of color. I'll be using Derwent Inktense pan paints, but you can use whatever inks or watercolors you like. Then we'll add another pass of the paint to kind of refine things a little bit. And then finally, we're going to add the sprinkles on the cupcake, or the cherry on top, I guess, with a soft and creamy blendable colored pencil. I'll be using Derwent Chromaflow colored pencils. This will give you a gorgeous, voluminous, delicious, yummy result. So please, won't you join me for my new Sketchbook School class? I can't wait to paint with you.
All right, yummy color. Lindsay Wyrick is a YouTube phenomenon. In case you've never heard of her, she is called The Frugal Crafter. She has an incredible channel, and she does content almost every day. So she does stuff about crafting, as the name would suggest, but also watercoloring and colored penciling and all kinds of stuff. She's got great energy, and I see some of you know about her and are excited by her, so that's great. She has got just great energy. She's really fun, and this workshop is going to be great. A lot of the things that we do here on Draw With Me, this will help you with, because it's about drawing kind of everyday things. In this case, yummy desserts, but also learning about how to layer and get really intense color, which is not what it would seem. Obviously, like, you need a bit of coaching on how to do this, and Lindsay is great at it. So school.tiny.us/yum, you can find out more about it. You can sign up for it. It's just coming up in a couple weeks, so I hope to see you there. Another announcement I want to make is a new thing that we're trying out called a Drawathon. This is something that some people in our community on the schoolyard suggested might be fun. I've done a few Drawathons before. They are really fun. Basically, what the idea is, you get together and you spend as much time as you feel like just drawing whatever, okay? So it's kind of like, imagine Draw With Me, except it lasts from 6 in the morning until 6 in the evening. And of course, you can come and go as you like, but we're basically going to get together on Zoom, and every hour we're going to have a different person come along and provide some inspiration, maybe a prompt, maybe a suggestion about materials to use. Maybe they'll just play some music. There's all different kinds of things that will happen. And you can just hang out. You can chat with other people. It'll all be, you can keep your camera off if you want to. But if you're just looking for some inspiration to just spend a good chunk of time on a Saturday doing some drawing, join the Drawathon. If you want to find out how, it's open to everybody, to sketchbook school students, but also to Draw With Me people. Anybody who wants to come can come. You just need to write to us at info@sketchbookschool.com and we'll send you the information about how to do it. So that is in, that's the week before the workshop. So I hope that you will consider coming to that. What else? Today we're going to work in the Cappuccino Book by Hahnemühle. It is a beautiful book that is has cappuccino colored pages. If you've never worked on tone paper, it's really fun to do. And I've done it a couple times before here on the show, and we're going to do it again. But we're also going to be giving away a few examples of the Cappuccino Book. If you would like one, or if you'd like to be considered for one, write to us at info@sketchbookschool.com. Send us your U.S. mailing address. Don't forget to send your U.S. mailing address. If you don't include it, we won't know where to send you the thing if you win. So please do. And if you feel like writing to us, what the heck? Write to us in a good old-fashioned snail mail in our post office box. It's cappuccino, says Atomic Elf. It's true. It's not cappuccino. A cup of cappuccino. Okay. So what else? We're also going to be using some Promarkers from Winsor Newton today. And these are basically watercolors in marker form. They're incredible. If you've never used them before, you should. But also, if you'd like to try them out for free, we're going to be giving away a set today too. So again, write to us. Tell us why you want them. You know, we randomly select them, but the randomness is influenced by the zeal with which you request them. So think about what you'd like to say, why you'd like these. And we have a set to give away. So that is going to be useful for someone. A lot of people have mentioned getting some of these beforehand. So yes, every week we give away free stuff. If this is your first time here, every week we give away free stuff from our sponsors, Winsor Newton and Hahnemühle. Thanks, guys. Okay, as you can tell, I'm energized, I'm caffeinated, I am ready to, let me just have a sip, fire it up. I see a few of you talking about the Drawathon. Rosalie says that she did a 24-hour one. Yes, that sounds pretty cool. I've done ones also with life drawing, where you have models for 12 hours. There's all different kinds of ways that these can work, but really it's an opportunity to just dig in, roll up your sleeves and say, I'm going to knock out as much stuff as I want. And I have people with me hanging out, my peeps, my tribe, supporting me in doing it. So again, think about it. Okay. So yes, I've got my sketchbook ready to go. I'm going to just be using some regular fine liners initially. And these are Winsor Newton fine liners. I've got some colored pencils. I got my markers. I'm ready to go. So here we go. You know what I didn't do? I didn't put a timer on this. Give me 1 second to just set that up because I think it'll be helpful. Because I'm thinking maybe what we need is, we probably need 2 minutes. I think two minutes and 2.5 minutes, let's say. 2.5 minutes, and that will, yeah, that'll be good. 2.5 minutes per drawing. And let me just put that in here. Okay, so I'm just going to go. All right, you can start if you want to, but I'm going to put in 2.5 minutes, and then we'll be done. So 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I have about a dozen of these, and I have a little story I want to tell you about a cool project that I worked on also that is vaguely related. And here we go. Okay, so there we go. 2.5 minutes. I'm going to put that timer down here, and that is going to take me to this, which doesn't have a timer, but it does have Sorry, you're seeing how the sausage is being made, which is, sometimes you can lose your appetite when you do that. But let's give me a second. So yeah, so get out your stuff. You probably have that already all set up. Let's see. There we go. That's my sound, and that's the sound that we will hear after 2.5 minutes. Okay, so let's start with just I think a fairly straightforward one. This is like a demi-tasse. I mean, it's cappuccino is the paper, but we're going to just do like a little, what would you call this? A demi-tasse, right? It's like an espresso cup. Very sort of straightforward shape, straight sides, fairly simple to draw, I think. Now, don't forget, when you look at the bottom of your cup, notice that the curve on the bottom of your cup is the same as the curve on the top of your cup. This is a cylinder. And if you make the bottom flat, because you're thinking, well, it's the bottom, it's flat, it's sitting flat on the table. No, it will look wrong. So there you go. Little pro tip. Pro tip. So there we go. So fairly straightforward. I think I'm gonna skip the cookie. I'm skipping the cookie. You can have it if you want, but I think I'm gonna skip mine. But I am gonna get. So as you can see, this paper is nice and brown, but I think my espresso. That's not dark enough. I think I need a darker. Because this is an espresso, so it needs to be a bit darker. And I'm not there's some foam. Should I draw the foam? Yeah, we could draw a bit of foam around the edge. And then because it is a white cup and I have brown paper, I can use my white pencil. So let me just see how that works. There you go. It is. Seems like the right thing to do. I could use gouache too, of course, to make it really white. But just that's enough, I think, just to suggest it. I don't want to blow it out. So there we go. It's pretty nice. Nice. So we're off to a good start. You'll see if there will be possible disasters ahead, but this is like a reasonably conservative beginning, right? Just a little cup of coffee. So what's the theme today? I didn't even mention that. The theme is things you drink coffee out of. Things you drink coffee out of. Okay, so obviously demi-tasse being one of them. Okay, so there we go. That was our first one. Let's now, you know what I should do? I'm going to make me. I'm going to jump to me when we're done with this. That makes more sense. Okay. There we go. All right. Let's go back and try it again. Are you ready to do the next one? Aha. A Turkish coffee. What do you think? Kind of cool. Turkish coffee in a sort of a glass container, should we call it? Is it a cup? A glass cup? Well, this is going to be, so this glass cup is sitting inside of a nice kind of ornamental metal holder. Have you ever had this kind of arrangement? I've had a lot of Turkish coffee in my day. Greek coffee. Various Arabic countries that I've been to, Arabic-speaking countries. Jerusalem, I've had this kind of coffee in a glass. And try and draw that spoon, give it a nice bit of a curve to it. And yeah, so how can we tackle? Do we have time to tackle this wrought iron? Is it, what would you call this? I don't have access to my full vocabulary right now because I'm drawing. But anyway, let's just see how much of this filigree, there you go, filigree work we can do. in the time allotted. How much time do we have? 50 seconds left. Yikes. All right. So the question is, do I want to do the filigree? Do I want to make it up? Do I want to add color? Maybe I'll add color later on. 2.5 minutes doesn't mean that we can't come back later on and do some work on this if we want to. Totally. You're the artist. You're in charge. You decide. Don't allow my draconian rules to force you into some particular way of making art. It's up to you how you want to do this whole thing. It's the world of your imagination. So, I'm not going to be too demanding in that way. All right. Okay. That was number 2. That was number 2 in our cavalcade of coffee. You ready for the number 3? Continuing around the globe, here we have a nice Irish coffee for you. Yes. Does Irish coffee really even count as coffee? Or is it just an excuse to drink more Irish whiskey? You know, it's certainly a thing to have on a cold winter's day. Some lashings of Irish whiskey in there. Some whipped cream. I think it's just an excuse to eat whipped cream, of course. You shouldn't need an excuse to do that. What could be better than getting drunk and eating whipped cream? Better than freezing out on the bog, on the heath. Lots of little curves and curls here. Let's see how we can draw this nice heaping mound of whipped cream. Do they drink this in Ireland? I don't know. All right, I really do want to use some color here. What do you think? Kind of looks like it, right? Not too bad. Should I use the sepia tone? No. Why am I thinking? Why would that be appropriate? Didn't think so. Yeah, the thing about these watercolor markers is you can really do sort of watercolory kinds of things with them, but not on this paper. This paper is not watercolor paper, it's drawing paper. So I don't want to start mucking around and getting it all wet. It's great for what it is, but it is what it is. All right, a nice cup of Irish coffee for you. Sang So Blee. It's nice to see you, my friend from South Korea. Very nice to see you. Good. Well, let's move on because we're on a roll now. We've got caffeine flowing through our veins. Let's see what we have next. All right. So this is just a basic, classic diner mug. I love these kind of mugs. Nice and chunky. You know, keeps the coffee nice and warm. You know, it's like the kind of thing you'd see in a diner. Waitress comes over, kind of, what do they say? Can I warm that up for you, hun? Giving you kind of a bottomless cup. And nice, fun, chunky handle. These are the kind of cups that are, you know, meant to last for years, to get abused and sent through the dishwasher thousands of times, and you know, just Just a real utilitarian sort of cup. This one is empty, but I'm going to fill mine with coffee. And yeah, that's good. I like it. I think I'm going to use pencils here. Yeah, I mean, because it's white, there's not a lot of things to draw necessarily, but you could spend a lot of time getting the tone right and figuring that part of it out. Where's my white? Here we go. So white will be nice to use to do the highlights with. And do that top part. Because even though it's a white mug, most of it doesn't really look white because it is, it has light on it. And the light sometimes bounces off it and makes it look bright white, but a lot of times it is forming other colors or it's reflecting the other things in its environment. Becoming a mirror of sorts. Yeah. Oh, I forgot. I'm just going to add a little bit of coffee in there. All right, that was fun. What next? Diane likes this, yeah, it is. You wouldn't think coffee could be so relaxing, right? Well, relaxing with a nice cup of coffee. So that's what we're doing. And now we're going to go back and let's see what we do next. Aha. So this is a diner cup. That was a diner mug. This is a diner cup. These are the kind of cups that, honestly, they seem to hold very little. Not quite sure why. They feel like they're from another era, too, which I like. This feels like it's from, the Great Depression when, coffee was a few cents. You still see these kinds of cups around. I think it's one of those things that's it's so good at what it is that there's never been a need to really replace it. Oops, there's my drawing. It's just it is sort of quintessential. It is the sine qua non of cups and mugs. So this has a little bit of color in it. Again, I'm going to fill it up. This time I'm going to remember to fill it up right away. And I think I'm going to fill it up with a black cup of joe. Hold. Yeah, make it black. Put in some white. Some white over here. Can you see all the highlights? Can you see where they are? Can you identify them as highlights? And now do some hatching. We use the term cross-hatching a lot, but the actual cross-hatching is a variation on hatching. So not all hatching is cross-hatching. Hatching is like a series of lines. Cross-hatching is when they cross each other. It makes sense, right? So you build up tone. But if they're just parallel lines, parallel to each other, they're just hatching. All right. Cup of joe. Classic cup of joe. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next. Here we go. Okay, this is a classic. This is a classic. I hope I can knock it out in the time. This This is one of the many things I miss about my hometown, New York, is this sort of classic. You still see this? You see it less often, but this, even Greek diners you see a lot less often. Greek diners used to be everywhere, and they used to be a place to get a good, inexpensive meal. But, I mean, they're probably the wave of immigration of Greek immigrants, which I think is like a kind of post-war thing. I think that tailed off. I think that they're no longer. I think when you go into most diners now in New York, they're not run by Greeks anymore. But this sort of Greek theme that you see here, you'll still see these cups, even though it might be run by a family of Pakistanis or Koreans or Vietnamese or who knows. Boy, I'm feeling pressured for time. I like this kind of faux Greek lettering too. I'm not sure that I have the time to approximate it. But part of the key here also is the colors. You know, this gold and white and blue are just the iconic elements. So, do I have time for the blue? Whew. All right, that was a lot to do in 2.5 minutes. It was a challenge. Here we go. Yeah, I'm not happy with the color that I came up with there. This color doesn't seem quite right, but I'll fix it later. We can fix it all later. Okay. All right, so this is the partner, right? The companion of these diner cups. They need one of these carafes. I guess that's what it's called, right? Or is this a coffee pot? No, I think a coffee pot is the thing that you brew it in. I guess you do brew the coffee in these things, but this is the thing that they always come around with, right? And they fill up your cup with a bottomless stream. If you don't watch it, you can get like massively over-caffeinated. Speaking from experience. Kind of like zoom out of the diner, like all fired up, ready to seize the day or to seize the throat of the nearest passerby. Bunomatic. That's what I think that they're called. The bun company, bun manufacturer. I'm sure there are other companies that make this, but bun seems to be the kind of classic one. Yeah, it says Bunomatic right there on the bottom. Bunomatic Corporation. The sprawling Bunomatic Corporation. See, again, it looks pretty simple, but there's actually a lot of shapes in here. There's the shapes, of course, of the actual pot, but then there's also the reflections in the glass that help you to know that it's glass, because and then this thing at the bottom. So this is all shades of black, and yet there's a lot of variations inside of it because it's reflective plastic, reflective glass. And you just have to pay attention to what you're seeing in there. All right. Here we go. Yes. D points out that when it has the orange handle, it's decaf. Good point. All right, what do we have here? Ah, yes. Okay, so I'm going to switch pages for this one. So this is, if you've, just reminds you of every kind of business conference you've ever been to, every sort of, weddings, any kind of big social event. They're always hauling this thing out. This is a Hamilton Beach. Is a Hamilton Beach the sort of generic again? I thought it might be. But, yeah. There's a lot of variations on this idea. Like they've kind of tried to advance the technology periodically. Like I saw some that had 2 different nozzles on it. 2 nozzles. For people who just can't wait in line. Then you push this little lever, of course, and it dispenses your coffee. Make sure you get your curves right. You don't want to have, even though every single thing of this is a curve. So make sure you get that down right. And then there's the base. Has for some reason a little cutout there. I'm not sure what that's about. Probably has some utilitarian purpose. This has a lot of bits to it, so it's kind of hard to get all the bits and then get into the reflections. But I do want to think about that a bit because there are quite a lot of reflections. But I'm not sure if I can get them to all of them in this time. Good news is you'll have a minute because I want to tell you a little anecdote after we're done with this one in 2 seconds. All right. So a couple years ago, I had a studio in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And I had this rule about my studio because I rented it for the summer. And my son was around during the summer too, so he would come out there with me. And I'd rented the studio, and I honestly had no idea what to do in a studio. I always wanted a studio, kind of had no idea what to do with it. So I made a rule for myself, which was I wouldn't buy lots of art supplies. I wouldn't have lots of canvases that were stretched and ready to take down there with me. Instead, what I would do is I would just use materials that I found in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And the Navy Yard is like this. Used to be a Navy Yard, it's not anymore, but it's just this kind of big industrial area. And there's always people throwing out stuff, and there's dumpsters full of things and materials. You can always find cool stuff. So that was, for the whole summer, that was my art supply store with these various dumpsters. One day I came upon this dumpster that was full of coffee urns, like that one that we just drew. All these coffee urns. Old ones that, I don't know, but it was literally like 30 or 40 of them. So my son helped me drag a few of them back to the studio, and we said, okay, let's try and see if we can make something out of these things. So I just want to show you what we did. Hold on a second, timer. All right. So here's one of them. So we started making them, painting them, and adding other things. Like in this case, it was like an old glove. And here we found some Christmas ornaments and made this guy into some kind of a weird robot bug thing. And then this guy was just sort of like a strange man of some kind. And then we went around and put them in places. So we put them around this kind of vast, sprawling Navy yard. Took pictures of them, but we actually ended up leaving some of them in different kind of places that they were just, they would just live. Like this guy who was sitting up and blended perfectly in the scaffolding. For all I know, he's still up there. And this guy, sort of like a little waiter or something like that in a white suit. And here he is standing by a crashed up car. And what else? Yeah, that's it. There you go. That was the project. So the project was that you kind of came with nothing. That was the idea. Come with nothing, find stuff and make stuff with it. But also at the end of the summer, I made a lot of paintings. I did a whole bunch of stuff, and we didn't throw it away, but we put it out in the street. And the idea was we don't want to have any stuff at the end of the summer. We just want to have the experience of making the stuff, making these sculptures, making the paintings, doing various things we did. And then I have some photographs of them. That's it. And we put them out in the street, and they were all gone like that. All the paintings, they would just take it. So who knows where they are now, but they're not my problem because I just didn't want to end up with a stack of paintings. But I do want to end up with a stack of drawings of various kinds of things we drink coffee out of. So let's get on with it, and let's draw this. Are you a fan? I'm not really. Not really a fan. Don't really like their coffee. Just, I don't know. I think it's not a popular position, so I'm not going to rail on about it. I just don't know. I mean, if you ever have coffee in Rome made by a real barista, oh my God. You go to those counters in Rome in the morning and have a cappuccino. It's just an incredible experience. I mean, it's amazing. And you think, okay, so Starbucks just doesn't compare to that. But maybe that's completely unfair to expect it to. You know, it's basically McDonald's. There's nothing really to do with the ultimate coffee experience, but I don't know. I'll stop talking about it. They have a very complex logo, though. What should we do with it? Do we have to copy it exactly? Can we copy it exactly? And why is it a mermaid? I think it was named after a character from Moby Dick. Again, not sure why, but Moby Dick doesn't have mermaids in it, so what is it all about? Have you ever really studied this logo? Why does it have two tails? Is it like I don't know, what kind of a sea creature has two tails? Like a weird shrimp or something? I don't know. Whew. All right, that was kind of harder than I thought it might be, but we need more time. Okay, let's move on to yes. Have you ever had one of these or seen them around? I don't know. There's something very kind of cool and comforting about this. So it's a thermos, obviously, but it's this particular kind of plaid thermos that you, I don't know. I don't associate it with my dad, honestly, but it feels like a dad sort of thing, right? It feels like if your dad was maybe a lumberjack or a fisherman or, I don't know, some kind of a dude from the 1950s. I don't know if you can buy these anymore. I've seen them in thrift stores and things like that. You know, yeah. just had a memory of thermoses because I remember occasionally having a thermos in my lunchbox. And the thing about thermoses is, at least the ones that they had when I was in school, they were filled with glass. It was like a sleeve of glass. And every so often, you'd pick up your thermos and you'd shake it and you'd think, oh, did my mom put in ice in the thermos? No. Somehow. That was broken glass. Yes. So, and clearly not a good idea to drink that. And as you can tell by the fact that I'm still here, I never did drink the jingle jangle kind of thermos stuff, but am I the only one with that experience? Because it's certainly something I associate with childhood. Again, this plaid would be fun to do. I don't have the time to do it properly now. But you could really get into it and try and really do this with like hatching. You could do a great job with this. Really a great job. And it's actually works quite nicely with this paper. So yeah, there we have it. Jennifer had it in 1968. Yes, the little one that they were the ones that would fit into your lunchbox. It had like a little wire that held it in place. Yes, Wilma's mom got impatient with her. Yup. See, I'm not alone. Yes, childhood memory. It's true, as Anthony says, they are no longer glass. Yeah, because honestly, what were they thinking? I know. Let's give a kid glass that he might break and drink. Nuts. All right, here we go. All right, so this is the more modern version, but it still has, that look. Sort of still feels a little, as they say, old school or old timey. God, I hate that expression. Old timey, like spelt, however it is, like time. I don't know. That's one of those things that, like, probably I'm the only person who's bothered by that expression. Old time. Like, I associate old time with like the period right before World War I, 1910s, when guys had with the barbershop quartets and waxed handlebar mustaches. But I guess the problem is that that's kind of now, or at least it's like 5 years ago, that sort of hipster thing. But yeah, I associate old time with a very particular period. I don't know why. But anyway, sorry I'm blathering about nonsense. Color. This is the kind of color I could probably blend pretty well if I had some time. Or if I had taken Lindsay's workshop. It's going to be all about that kind of stuff. Ooh, nice bit of white there. Nice highlights here. And then put a bit of highlight in here. And I gotta get that black. Yeah, this is this kind of logo here. I'm not gonna deal with drawing it too complicated. Sorry, Stanley. Stanley's a good sort of, it's not a name you hear that much of anymore. Stanley. Feels to me like sort of a 1950s kind of name. But, all right, that's pretty good. It's the first one I actually finished ahead of schedule. I have a cup of coffee. All right. I think we're on almost the last one. Could it be? No, we have two more. Okay, so this is one I associate with cowboys. Do you? Cowboys, like you have this out on the range and it's made out of that kind of pebbly, enameled, what do you call this stuff? Is it like, I want to say earthenware, but it's clearly not earthenware. Is there a term for this? Camping, yeah. People associate with camping. I haven't camped much, so that's why I tend to go to Cowboys. Because, as you know, I spent years on the range, rounding up doggies, drinking chicory coffee at the out of the chuck wagon, and so that's my association with it. Falling asleep to the sound of coyotes and buffalo, and the low mooing and soughing of the herd, sleeping under the stars in my blanket. But that's just me, because I spent, as I said, years doing that. But maybe you didn't. And so you just went camping with your dad, or your mom, or your great uncle, or your Boy Scout leader, or Girl Scout leader. You know what I would love to do with this is use some white spray, like dip a toothbrush into white ink and splatter a bit. But I only have 18 seconds, and by the time I dig up my toothbrush, it's going to be gone. So that's probably not going to happen. All right, so yeah, I feel like that was kind of important to capture the texture, and I sort of didn't. But, live and learn. Next time I'll have a toothbrush with me. Here we go. I think this might be the last one. Okay. Yeah, so this is the companion. This is the companion to that enamel thing, and this is old-timey, as they say. Timey. So this is sort of enameled and metal of some kind. What is it? Steel, maybe? Yeah, this is a nice piece, if you know pieces. Nice wooden handle up there. Whoops. Get it on camera. Nice shape, right? Really kind of a cool shape. Pretty simple, but you want to get this angle right here. Then you get these lines in. And this again would be one that it would be cool to do that sort of speckly thing. It has an interesting kind of paint treatment on it. Can you get this shape right? Oh, look, it has like a little handle down here so you can hold it from the bottom as well. So you're like pouring, because it's probably quite big. Can't quite tell, but it's probably quite large. Enough to make coffee for all the hands. All the Cowboys. Yeah, I'm just kind of making up a pattern. Yeah, so there you go. Just going to put in a bit of white. So I think that was, let's go back to this a second. So there we go. We have a whole page of coffee things. Now, what I would do, if we weren't running out of time, is I would write and label each of them, but I don't have time. So, but yes, there we have it. Okay. We're done. We're done. We're done. We're done with time. God, I'm like surrounded by announcements now. So this is, I just want to remind you about the yummy color. Next week, Lindsay's going to be on Draw With Me. She's going to come on Draw With Me, and we're going to draw together with Lindsay. So we'll talk some more about her workshop then. info@sketchbookschool.com to get any of the free palaver that we're sending out. Palaver? That's not the right word. Clobber? Anyway, the beautiful Cappuccino Book and the Promarker watercolor markers from Winsor Newton. Hashtag SBS Draw With Me. Share your coffee with me. Come on, man. Share your coffee with me. Post it on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, and tag it. Hashtag SBS Draw With Me. We'll come around and we'll pull it all together, and you will see it join next week's cavalcade, the beginning of next week's program, which you will know about, of course, because you'll have subscribed to this channel. And when you do, you'll be notified, hey, time to draw with that bald guy again and look at the coffee collections. Art for All podcast, it's coming out every Monday now. This new season had some really cool stuff. David Pyle was on this week talking about art supplies. And my essays go out tomorrow. The next one, free. Sign up. Danny'sEssays.com. Just go sign up. Please. I don't care if you do or not. It would be nice if you did. But if you don't, I'll lick my wounds and be back next Thursday. I'll see you then. Thanks for drawing with me. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I hope you had fun today. Keep drawing. See you later.